Hey, good evening. Bonus Sarah. It is 8:07 p.m. here on the east coast of the United States. I am a little bit later than usual, but hopefully that's not a big deal. I'm like a whopping 2 minutes behind schedule. I was very, very comfortable sitting at my traditional American kotatsu today and did not feel like getting up in time to prepare to stream. I'm tired. Did a bunch of yard work today, which is also uncharacteristic for me. Uh, Mowed the lawn, whacked some weeds. Bon actually did some power washing, which is exciting. Oh yeah, also before I forget, hello to first-time chatter Eidolon and Dimian. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy your Give Pizza emote. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so what are we up to today? I am in the midst of wrapping up the next major version of a plugin I'm building for good old VTube Studio here, which will or which does rather allow people to connect a whole bunch of different heart rate monitor devices to VTube Studio and use your heart rate data as an input parameter for tracking. So you can, blush in real time, have more labored breathing, say you're doing like Ring Fit Adventure or a horror game, that kind of thing. So the plugin's fully featured. It's been out for a while. Got a couple people who are using it. And so the next step for this is to build an API layer on top of this plugin, which itself, connects to the VTube Studio API. Why is it thinking so hard? There we go. So that way people can use the heart rate data that this collects for their own applications, one way or the other. There's Denshi. Waiting for me to say the word of power VTube Studio, and then Denshi reveals himself. Hi Denshi, how's it going? I'm always, I'll say this every week, I'm impressed that you're awake at 2 a.m. And I know you say nights are for working, but whatever. I don't know. Buy VTube Studio. It's on sale right now. It's shockingly cheap. It's normally only $15 once ever for a perpetual license to use it. For like small time, streamers like me. If you're a corporation, you gotta pay extra, obviously, but you can afford it, so it makes sense. But because of the Steam Summer Sale, it is 30% off. Is that right, Denshi? Which is like roughly $5 off, I think. Utah, hello! Nice to finally see you speak up in chat. How's it going? 33%? That's awesome. So yeah, VTube Studio is $10 right now for use forever, instead of $15 for use forever. It's a bargain that's frankly unbelievable. I know I've said this to you before, Denshi, but I'm kind of shocked that you're able to make this your full-time job with such a generous pricing model. Yeah, if you don't buy it now, I don't know what you're doing. Because, I mean, like, there's a lot of indie VTubers and a lot of people use your tool, but a $10 one-time purchase just seems like eventually you're gonna run out of people paying the money. So I'm really impressed that you're able to make a living off of it and with such a generous payment model. Yeah, so please buy VTube Studio if you haven't already, though I'm probably preaching to the choir with my target demographic here. Okay, so when last we left off, things were actually looking pretty good for this API. I have 3 different endpoints you can connect to. I'm going to zoom in a little bit if I can. Yeah, there we go. We've got a data API, which lets you read your current heart rate data as well as the output parameters that we normally write to VTube Studio. So things like the interpolation for breathing parameters, the level of blush, things like that. There's the event API, which is a endpoint you can connect to receive a notification anytime a hotkey or expression event is triggered from the setup here. And then there's the input API, which is the only write accessible API. And this lets you write heart rate data back into the plugin from whatever external source you have going on right now. And so where last we left off was me figuring out basically how should I go about securing this, if I even wanted to. Because I tested all of these last time on the last stream, and they do all work. Data API sends out a constant stream of messages, 1 per frame. Events API sends out events exactly when you'd expect to. And the input API you could write to, and it would update your heart rate data here. But I figure for a write accessible endpoint, I probably should secure it. and I'm going to follow, once again, the great model left behind by the VTube Studio API. So, to that end, here's what we've got. Let me pull up my web browser to show off JavaScript. Web dev browser. There we go. I've got a new tab open with this going on. So I'm going to try and... First, I actually need to start up the API, which I didn't do yet. There we go. So I fire that up, and I make a new WebSocket for the input URL, like that. And so if I were to define my message now, where is it? I've got a... There we go. Message type input request, data of heart rate 55. Let me actually increase the zoom on this even more so it's really legible. So now if I were to do... oh, and I also need to define on message. There we go. I should copy this to a single file so I don't have to flip through my previous history all the time. Okay, so now if we do ws.send, and it's going to be message3, or json.stringify, I think. .stringify message 3 here. I have a couple other messages that I was using for this for testing. We're going to get back an error because it's going to tell us client is not authenticated, which I think is correct. I'm using HTTP status codes here as well. So 403, not authenticated, forbidden basically. Okay, so how do we get around that? In order to overcome that, we have, let's see, message 2, which is an authentication request. You say your plugin author and plugin name, and let's remove the token from this. So we're going to do message2.data.token equals undefined. I think that works. Yeah. Token undefined. I hope that handles properly. So now if I were to send this to VTube Studio, so we do, or not VTube Studio, if we were to send this to my plugin, my great API, by doing this, we should have gotten a message back, but we didn't. I think it's confused because there's a token parameter on here, but the token is undefined. So I will need to build an edge case in for that, for checking if token is provided but not listed. How do I remove... what is it? It's like... delete? Is that a thing I can do? Message.data.token? I think? True, okay. Now if I print out... or, message2.data.token. I'm rambling now. Unfortunately, this is probably not very coherent. So now if I print out message2 again, does this still have a token? No, it doesn't. Okay, so that is how you do it. JavaScript's weird. I needed to delete the token parameter off of my message here, and instead of just making a new one. So now if I send this... why didn't I get a response back? Okay. Let's find out. Oh, that's why, because I didn't approve it. I also built in a little pop-up screen, just like VTube Studio, where it asks, do you want to approve the plugin named? Yeah, so workstream rambling is what we're here for. Hello, Panko, by the way. Hello, hello, hello. I'm always surprised who turns up to these things, because I really feel like it's a 2-hour session where you get to live inside my head, which is not a great place to be. Pog. Yeah, so this has a thing where you can approve or deny. So we're going to approve, and as soon as I approve, I'm going to go back to my browser. And there we go. There's our message that I was waiting back for. It says, authenticated, false. Not yet authenticated, but you have your token. So now, if I were to basically take this same message, I'm going to copy this. Copy. Message2.data.token equals that. That's the token we got back. And I will once again send this message, which now has a token, to VTube Studio. Why didn't it like that? Perplexing. It should send me back a message that says authenticated is true, so you know that you're all clear with an authentication response. And upon getting that, you would be able to then do this, and it should just work. And it looks like, I'm gonna guess I just didn't write in the thing yet that sends back this as true, because this didn't send back an error. It didn't say that I wasn't authenticated. And if I go to Unity now, I can see that I do in fact have a heart rate listed of 55. So similarly, if I do message data heart rate is equal to like 120, cool, and then I send that again, you can see it update and I get flushed. So I need to, I guess, write the part where it tells you that you're free and clear. My only real reservations with the way that I've got this set up right now is I'm worried that it's a little too verbose for such a small API. Like, this is literally a one type of input thing you can do. And I'm making somebody send messages back and forth like 4 times in order to gain access to it. But my other thought was, if somebody is using this, and given that you can connect to WebSockets on localhost from web browsers, somebody could, in theory, make a malicious web page that somebody could navigate to, and it could connect to this plugin, and it could inject bogus data and mess up their stream without them knowing it. So I figured that this probably does actually need authentication for write access. I don't think I care enough about security for the read access endpoints. I don't think there's really anything malicious you can do with unrestricted read access. I think it would just be annoying to have to authenticate for all of them. Yeah, WebSockets are pretty scary. I didn't know you could connect from a hosted page to localhost until VTube Studio, actually. Seeing people with the VTube Studio JavaScript library taught me that you can do that. Hack it, make you blush more. Well, I mean, like, I don't know, if you're like I don't know, an ASMR streamer. That's another group of people I've seen use this plugin, actually, are ASMR streamers, because they're also really keyed into heart rate monitors and things like that. So I don't know, somebody could like mess up your thing if they, I don't know, somehow got you onto a page that you trusted and wrote some malicious JavaScript. I just think write-only stuff, even if the limit of what it can write is really, really narrow, should be protected. So I have to build a whole bunch of infrastructure surrounding it and deal with that. Okay, so the thing that I need to do is I have the authentication message that says you're all clear. I forgot to write the part where it sends it. Yeah, no way around it. Yeah, but I am pretty gung-ho here on saying that I don't care about locking down the read access API. I think that's harmless. I've mentioned this every time I've worked on this so far. The worst somebody's going to know is when you're exercising. And like Lewis said, they'll know that I'm really unhealthy. Ooh, big surprise. Okay, Eidolon and Endymion, how can I help clarify the situation to you? Because I'm definitely rambling, but I don't want to alienate anyone. So if there's some way I can explain what I'm working on, I'm happy to try and help. Anyway, so we've got our auth response, and we need to send it to the client. And then I need to do a thing where I actually save this token so that next time you load it up, you don't have to do this whole song and dance, and you can just send the thing that says, here's my token, and it will understand. Just like how VTube Studio does it. Okay, so now that I've implemented this, let's go back to Unity and try that whole song and dance again. All good. Well, if you say so. I mean, I'm not going to interrogate you for questioning here. But I don't want you to feel lost. If at any point you've got a question, feel free to ask it in the chat. You're not going to derail. It's not high traffic enough in here that I will feel overwhelmed or anything like that. So let's get rid of that token again. And let's connect to our WebSocket. Let's clear this console as well. WebSocket. Oh, right, and I also need to build the thing so it actually launches the API every time you start. I don't have it start by default. And there we go. Browser. Okay, so we're starting our WebSocket. I'm doing this all in the Chrome Inspector because it's the best JavaScript scratchpad you can ever ask for. Message, cool. And we're gonna send this. Why? Why is it not sending me stuff back? Oh, right. I always forget. I have to approve it. There we go. I will approve it. Now I go back to my browser. I get back a response that says, all right, cool. Congratulations. You've been approved. Here's your token. But you're not yet authenticated. We now will take this token in my other message object. We will do message 3.data. Token equals this. We will send message 3. And we should get back our why no response? Why? Oh, wrong message. My bad. Message 2.data token. There we go. And we'll send message 2, which is our authentication request. I should have given these a better name. Awesome, I still don't get a response back, but why? What's it think it's doing? Do I see any errors in the console? No. Interesting. Chrome Inspector sounds like I'd be a programmer. To a programmer what MS Paint is to an artist. Kind of. I mean, it's a really good scratchpad. I can just write whatever JavaScript I want in here, and it executes against the browser. So, that's pretty much all I can need. I'm confused about why it's not doing what I expect it to do. And I'm wondering if I'm getting in my own head and, having it behave strangely. It looks like before I was able to send this, and it was acceptable. Yeah, it looks like it's receiving that, which is weird because I didn't get a response back. Did I save my... Oh my god. I'm dumb. I didn't save my code after I edited it. We've got our little circle up here which says you didn't hit save, so of course it's not going to write back anything. Which is fine, because like it authenticates you. I just need a way to communicate to the user, you have in fact been authenticated affirmatively. Handshake, authenticated is true. And you can, move forward. Let's try that one more time. I'm gonna actually make more, or better named messages in my browser as well. So let's fire up Unity another time. We're gonna turn on the API server like such. Now in here I'm going to, once again, start up a new WebSocket. Specify what we do on message. Cool. We're going to do let authentication auth request equals message type. Me hoping I spelled authentication request correctly. Data. Oh, I need a comma as well. Data. And this will have plugin name. JS, plugin, author, Tom, and that's all you should need. Cool. So then we're gonna say let input request equal message type input request data, and that's a child object. Heart rate 115. So if I ws.send json.stringify, I hate that I have to stringify these before I send them, but it is just the way it is. Input message, if I send this right now, or input request, if I send this, I will get an error back because it says I'm not authenticated. Cool. So we'll instead send our auth request. And I get nothing back. Did I spell authentication wrong? Oh, right. Third time! I keep forgetting I have to approve these manually. Because I'm not saving it. I have to go here and say, yes, I approve this plugin. Once I get this process all ironed out, I'm going to obviously have it save the token it writes, so that you don't have to reapprove it every single time. But I keep forgetting. Third time's the charm. Clearly I am too tired to stream today, but I will not be deterred. I have to get my warm-ups in, because in 11 and a half hours from now, I'm streaming again at 8 a.m. EST on a Sunday morning. I'm going to rise and shine, because at 8 a.m. EST, I will be doing a live technical analysis and critique of Kson On Air's 3D model debut, which he's doing at 2100 JST, which is 8 a.m. East Coast, 5 a.m. West Coast. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. To that end, I will be doing a collab with Lua Lucky, who you can find at these various links. She is the only person I know, other than Kson, who has a mocap studio in her house, so she seems like a good person to exchange notes with. And yeah, that's tomorrow morning in 11 and a half hours, so as soon as I wrap up here, I gotta go right to bed and get up really early. As for Kason's thing herself, you can find her over here. She's graciously permitted all, I spelled streamers wrong, awesome, I'll have to fix that, to restream her 3D debut in full, watch the event on her channel, over here. Yeah, Lua's wild. I think Lua is a very cool, interesting individual. So, I'm looking forward to collabing with her for the first time for this kind of event. But I gotta get my practice in, because I am not gonna start doing that without having streamed for an entire week. Okay, so, we get our token, we say auth request dot data dot token is equal to this new token. We send our auth request again. There we go. And we get an authentication response that says, authenticated is true. You've been approved. Looking forward to the collab. Thank you. Yeah, Denshi, it's actually finally one that you can make because it's on, I guess, European time. Won't be home tomorrow. But except for it, we'll definitely catch the VOD. Yeah. It's a difficult time. There's not really a time that works for the whole world. 21 JST is probably about as close as she can get, I think. Other than, like, maybe 1 hour later, which would bring it all the way up to 6 a.m. on the west coast of the United States. I probably can't make it if it's... Well, yeah, okay. 8 a.m. EST would be 2 p.m. your time, right? So I think that's probably a pretty decent time to stream. Okay, alright. So we did the thing. We submitted an authentication request. It gave us a token. We took that token and appended it to our authentication request and sent it back a second time and said, okay, got it. You're authenticated. This is the go-ahead flag that you now have to have your plugin do whatever it needs to do. And so if I am going to go and send my input request again, input request, it works. You can see me get flushed as I send a heart rate of 115 to the app. But yeah, okay. So this is the process flow. You request a token. It will send you, the user can then approve or deny. You send it back, the token. User sends that token one more time, says, okay, got it, here's the token, this is me. The plugin says, understood, this is you. And then from there on out, you can just write freely until the user revokes permission for that token. If they already have a token, i.e. they've done this process before, they simply need to do that second and third step, where they just send the token. The plugin will write back, yes, you're authenticated, go ahead, and then they can just start writing stuff. They don't have to re-request the token. So it's a 3 or 2-step process, depending on if they've done it before. I think this is about as minimal as I can make it while still feeling safe. It still gives the user control over seeing what's trying to connect to their plugin, It makes the little pop-up that we saw before. So I think that's good. The thing I'm really not looking forward to is on a UI that's this minimal and like narrow, I now have to make a sub-menu that will allow the user to revoke access to given plugins. Because I only can see that being a list, and that's just going to make this really, really long. But maybe it's fine. Maybe I'll just have that continue to extend this little section of the UI. That's probably fine. Anyway, the other thing I need to do, before I get that far ahead of myself, is I need to have a good way to save and load token data. Because once you get that token, like I said right here, write this to a file. When you send a token and get approved for a brand new token, we need to save that to a file so that next time we load this up, we don't have to ask again, and the user doesn't have to make a new token and get reapproved and all that shit. So, how do I want to do that? Is the question. I think at some point down the road, I need to consolidate how I'm saving data across everything, because in my... Do I even have it open? In the main, like, plugin aspect of this, the heart rate plugin, I've got about... let's collapse the section here. I have a section for data serialization. So it starts on line 381, and if I collapse this, it ends on line 631. So that's a little over 200 lines of code that are nothing but data saving and loading, which just kind of inflates and makes more confusing the main plugin engine here, which is the thing that does all the math and writes back to VTube Studio. So at some point, I want to just make a save data manager that will handle this for both the plugin and other aspects like the API. But for now, I'm just gonna basically do this. We're gonna take this out from here. We're gonna go to our API manager, and we're gonna have to make a save data and load data method if I don't already have this. Okay, API endpoint, you can close. Token save. Okay, token save data. Originally, I was thinking it just needs to be a list of approved tokens, but now I'm realizing that this needs to be more complex than that. We're going to need to have a another class that's going to be serializable, and this is going to be... There are definitely days I wish that Unity and other languages, or C# and other languages like it, could function like SQL, because I have so many days when I'm trying to do relational database type lookups. So for example, the thing that I'm grappling with right now in my brain is when we assign a token, we write it into this dictionary or map, which is a structure that has a key, which is going to be the token, and the value, which is in this case the client ID. It's like the address of the connecting WebSocket. And the way this will work will be whenever it's receiving a token, or receiving a message from a client, it will see if the client is in this map, and then it will check if we've approved that token. And if we have, it will permit them to move forward. SQL, Structured Query Language is what it stands for. You can encrypt the files storing API tokens with the respective token stored in the file as the key. I barely understood what you're saying there, Denchi. Eidolon and Endymion. SQL is structured querying language. It is used for what's called a relational database, which would be like a database being a thing that has a bunch of columns, and then you can say like select all columns where name is equal to Tom and profession is equal to VTuber, right? SQL. So what I'd really like is to be able to have that structure mirrored here, because this is going to need to expand to be from just token to session ID to token, session ID, plugin name, and plugin author, because I want to be able to display the list of approved plugins, and I would get that from here. But similarly, when I'm receiving a new message from a random client, I need to quickly be able to look up to see if they're in that list to know if I should allow their message through or not. And there's no easy way to do that. Yeah, structured query language is used for databases. It makes selecting data from a complex dataset very easy. If you store the tokens in plain text, any app running on your PC could read out the file and pretend to be your plugin. This is true. This is true. But, crucially, Denshi, crucially, web browsers cannot read files that are on your PC. They do not have file read access to just arbitrary files. And my primary concern here... Oh, shit. Punko, if you gotta go, obviously no worries. What's the deadline for? What are you arting it up? Or, I'm assuming it's art. I've lost my train, but... Yeah, so Denshi, I am not really concerned about random programs reading the token and pretending to be you. Though I guess maybe I should be. My real primary concern was just random websites with JavaScript that would covertly connect with WebSocket. My thought was that if you've got a program running on your desktop that's doing this, you probably let it in on purpose. Whereas with, websites, it's a lot easier to not do things on purpose. So I don't really care about saving it in plain text, but maybe I'll clean this up and make it not do that. Crypt them using the token that is stored in the file. The file can't even be read if the app doesn't have the token. But how does the app get the token if it can't read the file? Huh? How does it do it, Denshi? This would require it to read itself. How can you read the token? Oh, okay. The stream is good company. It's strong stuff. Okay, gotcha. Usually when people say like, oh, I just remembered I've got something. I left my pizza in the oven. It's because they gotta go. Class. Plugin data. Public. String. Client. Session ID. Public. String. Plugin name. Public. String. Plugin author. Your app receives a request with the token and then tries to decrypt all plugin info files it has using that token. Oh. Denshi, you're so smart. It's very funny to me that you're always like, I mostly just like making the app so I can draw cute UI graphics, because you do have some very, very good ideas. That makes a lot of sense. Here I was thinking, okay, well, I have to save this file, and then we load it into memory as soon as we boot up. And then you have your initialized set of tokens. Okay, that makes sense. That's good, but I'm not going to attempt to do that on stream, I don't think. I would have to look up how you would handle encrypting stuff like that. That makes a lot of sense. But then every token would be its own individual file, right? Is what you're saying? Otherwise, you'd be encrypting JSON with yeah, I don't know. I'm going to do this, I think. I think I'm going to take you up on this and do this for no reason other than to prove that I can. Yeah, so every token would have to be its own file. Which I guess could be fine. I mean, it's not like it's hard to do. I just haven't done that. Now I kind of want to do that for the VTS Sharp, like, basic library for C Sharp. Well, no, because it would need to be able to read it without knowing the token, because that's the thing that provides it to VTube Studio. I don't know, it's a conundrum. Okay, anyway. So we've got our plugin data, and I'm going to have to update our map at the top here. Instead of being token a session, it's going to now be token to plugin data. Although I guess that actually also needs the token. Token, session ID. Yeah, okay. Plugin data. Yeah, exactly. That was my thought. Is like I just need to protect against somebody having loaded up a web page that has JavaScript, malicious JavaScript in it, that's connecting to a WebSocket locally. I figured that's really difficult to avoid having happen to you, and you don't really realize it's happening. But if you're running an executable that has file system access, another problem has been made that is not my problem, is my general thought process here. The browser does not have file system access, so writing stuff to file is a perfectly good way to hide it from the browser. That is my primary concern, is just random websites with malicious JavaScript, because there's no way the user would ever know that's happening. And it seems like way more feasible as an attack vector. Anyway, plugin. I think I still want to do what you're saying though, because it does sound novel, and I would feel very smart for implementing it. So I will probably try that later when I have time somehow. Okay, so we've changed that. How do I have 5 references? 5 references to this. Okay, there we go. It finally broke. So whenever we receive messages, I was checking to see if our token to session map contained the session that we were receiving it from. But what I instead need to do is... Yeah, see, this is why I wish I could do SQL. Because now I've lost the value of a fast indexed dictionary here. And I need to instead do a thing where I have to find if values... It's going to be values dot... Oh, God. I need, like, LinQ here, don't I? I hate LinQ. I hate using LinQ. This is time for a helper function. It's time to write a helper function. What do you mean, what? LinQ is the best. I think it, like, makes the code harder to read. I don't like LinQ. All my homies hate LinQ. Ooh, this is a poorly named function also, because it's not the same dictionary. String. Cannot believe what I'm hearing. I'm cancelled. Sorry. I don't know why. I'm probably literally wrong. Writing a twitlonger right now. I look forward to seeing it. Your last twitlonger was a banger. The one for VTube Studio's 2nd birthday. That was cool. I liked that. I think you should definitely not do the thing where you let people load in random items from the internet. But I know you won't stop talking about that literally ever since you added the workshop. So you're gonna do it. And I know you're gonna do it. Even if I tell you not to do it. You should consider not doing it. If you want to talk about malicious attack vectors, letting Twitch chat post an image that they can forcibly upload into your VTube Studio sounds like a great way to cause problems. So we're going to see... Wait, does this return a Boolean, or does this return... What am I even trying to do here? What am I even trying to do? We just need to see... Causing problems is a VTuber's favorite thing. Yeah, but these could be big problems. It's fun. Yeah. Breach. In this dot. Is it colon? Oh, wait. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've written C# code. I live for chaos. I just got here. I don't know what we're talking about. I was telling... Denshi was going to cancel me because I had controversial opinions about the LinQ library. And he said he was going to write a twitlonger. He's writing it as we speak. I complimented his previous twitlonger, which was the one about VTube Studio's 2nd birthday. And remarked that he probably should not implement his passion idea of a API endpoint that lets you upload a random image or pull a random image from wherever and load it into your VTube Studio scene, because that seems like a great attack vector. And then everybody's like, oh, but it's chaotic and we love chaos. So, I'm in the wrong here, I guess. Hey, Lua, check this out. Oh my god. No! Wait, it's not Lua, it's Collab. My brain. There we go. Hey, Lua, check this out. There we go. That's you. Do you have any more links that you want me to add? I think 3 is probably plenty. It's you. Yeah. I'm really, really excited for 11 hours from now. It's going to be a good time. The reason I thought it was exclamation point Lua is because I also have this one, which I need to fix a typo on. Kayson has graciously permitted Streamers to restream her 3D debut in full. Watch the event on her channel directly here. Very cool. Very big-brained of her to just be like, yeah, anybody can restream this. That's fine. All you gotta do is put the hashtag in it and you're free to go, because she is now trending, because everybody wants to get in on that action. Very big-brained. Yes. I mean, look who you're talking to, right? So, you're in good company. Very big-brained. What am I doing? In this token values. Watch me re-implement the link queue method after just talking about how much I hate link queue. So we're gonna say if data dot session ID equals session ID return data. Tiberius, what's up? I'm not sure if you're shouting my name because you're about to tell me what an idiot I am, or if you just haven't seen me in a while, in which case, hello. Tiberius, you're like settled in the Midwest now, right? You're no longer an East Coaster. I feel like I haven't heard from you in quite a while because I know you've been moving. I haven't seen you. Okay, cool. I haven't seen you either, brother. It's nice to hear from you. I'm glad you're alive. I have no idea what you are doing. I'm just working on the heart rate plugin. Right now, I'm actually building an API on top. Yep, there we go. Professor Tiberius paid money for this? No, actually, Denshi paid for this. Thank you, Denshi, once again, for giving all of my friends the least valuable Twitch.tv subscription that currently exists, a whopping 2 emotes. But yeah, Ty, I am building an API on top of my plugin so that people like, I don't know, Lua, could in theory use this to aggregate heart rate data and control VTube Studio and beyond. I'm waiting. An artist I like is going to open emote commissions at the end of the month, they said. So I'm waiting for that, in which case I will get some new ones. But otherwise, it's not a very high priority for me. Yeah. No, I'm not going to get a Wiggly. Won't happen. But yeah, I figured this is useful. So I'm building an API on top of the VTube Studio API right now. And then terminal. There we go. I can make use of that. That's good to hear, yeah. This has three API endpoints here, Ty. There's one that will just constantly give you a fire hose of the current parameter data that it uses for the VTube Studio tracking parameters. There's one that will send out an event every time a expression or hotkey module thing gets triggered, and it'll tell you about like if that was a rising edge or falling edge event, etc., etc. And then the third one, which is what I'm doing a lot of the work for, is the upload, the only write accessible input API, which would let you write heart rate data from anything that has WebSocket capabilities to it. So if you wanted to make your own app that aggregates from your own bespoke heart rate monitor because you have an EKG machine in your house, and gosh darn it, there isn't an EKG app for your phone that has a connection for this, and you want to write it yourself, you could do that, in theory. But I'm currently writing the authentication process for this. Okay, so we're going to say if API manager instance dot. Actually, no, I need to do this. Plugin data client equals API manager dot instance. I have an Apple Watch. This pleases me. You might actually already be in the clear, because another thing I've added since then is in a single session, I sat down and I added support for a app called hyperate.io, which, as far as I can tell, is just Pulsoid again. I don't really get what's different about it. It seems like it's just a web service where you can upload your heart rate data to via an app or Bluetooth, and they just hold it for you on the web and can give you a widget. But Lua says that they have Apple Watch support and Pulsoid doesn't, so I trust Lua, like, very much. So that might work great for you, I don't know. You're using Pulsoid, yeah. Most people are, like, everybody I've spoken to, except for 2 individuals who specifically requested hyperate support, use Pulsoid, because I really couldn't tell you what the difference is. Plug in data from token. That's a bad function name. Session ID. This is not useful. Hold on. There we go. I think that's sufficient. And then let's see what else we got going on here. So we have our client. Oh wow, why does it let me do that? This shouldn't compile. I don't like this. You've made a mistake by trusting me. That's fine. It's a mistake I'm willing to make. I don't know any better, so I trust you as the subject matter expert. With another thing that connects to my Apple Watch, 3 layers of heart rate. We can make it 4. Like, you can build stuff on top of this to make it more layers. So we're going to say if client not equal to null, i.e. we found a piece of plugin data that we loaded based on our session ID, then this is all set. We can write if the client is not in the list, you're not authenticated, so we got problems. I should make a constructor for that plugin data because it is important. Where did I put the class for that? Sir? There we go. Public plugin data. String token. String session ID. String plugin name. String plugin author. This dot token is equal to token. I wish there's probably a way to generate this automatically, right? I hate doing this shit by hand. Why shouldn't it compile? Because I did, like, the line Denshi's talking about said this: if API manager.instance. This compiles, and I don't like that it does, because I think this is like JavaScript shit right here. This is like not intuitive as to what this does. What I'm assuming this is doing is this is a conditional that checks to see if instance is equal to null or not. It's a null check, yes, but I feel like this is not expressive enough. I mean, like, I'm the kind of idiot who writes this dot in front of everything, right? Because I'm very obsessed with my code being, like, hyper-readable, even if you have little idea of what it's supposed to do. So, to me, this is kind of opaque as to what it's actually accomplishing. If you know, like I do and like Denshi does, that what this is doing is checking to see if the return value of instance here exists, then yeah, this is great shorthand and it saves you a lot of time. But I think it would be a lot more clear if I had to write is not equal to null. Yeah, okay, Ty, you're the second person in about as many weeks that has brought up streamer.bot to me. I don't know what that shit is. It seems like it's just Mixitup bot, or like the Mixitup app again. I don't know what it does differently, but Godspeed if you do. Yeah, exactly, Denshi. Like, I just think it should be like very clear as to like what you're trying to do, especially with conditionals. I have a very, very nasty habit of doing ternaries because my brain is trying to always optimize, even when it's like not required at all. So I will have like very unreadable nested ternaries in a lot of my code, and I think that's a very bad habit. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember reading about it, and it said that it had a runtime C# compiler, and I was like, oh okay, that's novel, and then I forgot about it because I just simply do not have time. This dot session ID equal to session ID, this dot, plugin name, this dot, plugin author, plugin author. Cool, wow. I hate writing those by hand. Better IDEs have a way to generate that automatically, but I'm not about installing the giant package of VS Code, or VS, what is it, Visual Studio 2022, I guess. So we don't want to add session ID anymore. We got to do plugin data. Can I just call this data? Is it going to let me do that? New plugin data. And we're going to say boom, session ID dot plugin name, plugin author, and then we save that to a map here. Data, cool. So that's good. And then the last thing that we still need to do. Wait, there's another. Where's the error? What's the issue? Oh. What's going on here? Okay, what's the... Is your library already in Mixitup, or did they write their own? Mixitup came way before I did, so they've got their own. But they also only have, like, 2 things supported for VTube Studio, if memory serves. They've got, like, load a model, and I think maybe they have trigger a hotkey, so they're way behind the times. Though, it's reasonable to do so, because they've got a million other things to keep up with. They send us a token. Oh, yeah. We do that again. They send us a token. And the token map contains that token. And we just have to update their session ID. So we do this. Data. Auth request. Actually, I probably don't need to do a remove add. I could probably just get the value of this mute. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, okay, okay. So now, lastly, as this keeps saying, we need to write the file. So in the save load method here, where is it? 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 Golly, this is becoming unreadable very fast. This used to be so elegant, so simple. What happened? So token save data is a list of plugin data. So we've got this, and it's going to be this dot, oops, dot values. Awesome. We just get the list right out of there. And we are going to, where do I have it in here? Need to import some things. And this is why I really want to have a singular save manager. Global save path. Because I don't like having to copy this logic into 2 places. I think that's bad for consistency. I now have to have my file path logic in 2 different places. I don't even remember where I set this up. Global save path is this. There we go. Do you know who did that? Mix It Up bot? I think they're listed on... Oh, do you know who asked? I don't know if I was actually asked so much as just told about the thing. But I can look it up. I can search message history and find it for you. I think it was the same person who asked for Hyper 8 support, which would make this pretty easy to actually search for. but I'm not sure. Okay, so we do that, then we do load token data, and then similarly, this is so hard to read now. It's also because my text is gigantic for the sake of streaming. That's actually the real, like, run killer, I think, is that having to blow up my text to be readable slows me down so much. API, manager, instance. Save token data. There we go. So are you a streamer.bot like pro lifer now, Ty? Are you a big fan of it? Because I still don't really know what it does, other than having a C# compiler. Oh, I need to this dot tokens. What's a new list? Data? I think you can do that. I probably don't need to do that, but I know for a fact that will compile. And then load token data. I need to. It probably saves you in the long run. What saves me in the long run? I guess I can add a WebSocket API to TieTools, but that seems like too much. One plugin per file thing. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening, Denshi. Yeah. By the way, he says. There's a lot I want to change about how this handles saving data, actually. It's a mess. I don't know how anybody ever manages this. Thinking about file serialization keeps me up at night. It really does. So we're going to load from the thing. Got that. It's going to be token save data, I guess. API save data. Can I do that, or is it going to complain? It is going to complain. That's annoying. I actually need an else here. This is fine. Token save data. Then she says, I just looked over my code again, and the one thing I did was name the file the hash of the API token. So when you receive a request, you can just add the SHA-256 token, and you'll know right away which file to read. But then if you... Couldn't you figure out tokens by just working backwards from file names? If you're going back to the hypothetical situation you have of... No, I guess because you need to know the token name in order to know how to hash it. Never mind. Never mind. That's not how decryption works. We're going to say we have our data. So then for each plugin data... Nope, I can't name everything data as much as I want to. In data tokens, we're going to say this dot add token. There we go. I don't need an else. And this should now finally... Yeah, exactly. You can't reverse hashes. I was like, oh, you could, if you know that it's if you had this insider information, you could just apply that function to every file name and you get your tokens. That is not how hashes work. What am I saying? Okay, with all of this done, I think I can go back to Unity now, and I can boot this up, and it will actually save my tokens, albeit in plain text. So I won't have to mess around with this every time. So we go and we fire up the API. Cool, it's running. We jump back to VS Code, or over here. We're gonna delete the auth request data.token. Clear the token on that. Cool. Let's clear console again. We're going to make our new WebSocket again. We connect to the input URL. We now have an onMessage function. I try and send an input request. I get bounced, error. not authenticated. Awesome. That's fine though, because I can send the auth request. Yes, auth request. I will now go back into Unity here. I will approve the plugin. It's a lot of work for basically no reason. That's the best reason, is no reason. Anyway, I approve the plugin. So I go back to my browser, and I should get a token, or a message back that says, here's your token. You're not approved yet, but here's the token. We take the token. We do message, we do auth request.data.token is equal to this new token. And we send it again. And we get an authentication response. And this time it says, you're in. You can, you're authenticated. It's all good. Awesome. Now we send that input request again, and I'm going to blush. Because I'm going to be so excited that it works. There we go. There you go. Simple as that. And now, because I've approved this plugin, authenticated, exactly. I've said the word like a million times now, it's beginning to lose its meaning. Now, crucially, we did all that before, and that's great. Now I'm going to turn this off, launch it again, turn on the API, go back to my browser, and now I should just be able to send that auth request after I make the WebSocket again, which I always have to do. Very annoying. That's the only thing I don't like about using this as a scratchpad, is it's kind of obnoxious to do this in, but if I had this in a clipboard and I could just copy and paste it, that'd be a bit better. And now if I send my auth request, damn, it's still asking me to approve. Something didn't work. I'm not sure what, though. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Damn, that was exciting for a moment. Let's find out, I guess. Let's open where this saves our save data. And oh, I know why. I'm stupid. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say stupid. I'm airheaded, I guess. In my haste of copying and pasting my save and load data from the original like heart rate plugin over here, I copied the part in the initialize section way up here where we set our global save path to combine application persistent data path and save.json, and my API manager, I set our persistent save path to application persistent data path and save.json. So we save to this file when we approve a token, and when we close the application, we completely overwrite the exact same file. And I can't call this token because that is a separate thing. So we're gonna say this is plugins for now. I will change this before I ship this because I do want to make it a file per, like what Denshi was saying. But for the sake of proving this out today, we're gonna do that. So, let's try this again from the top. Now I've given it a different name, plugins. We're going to start our API, and we're going to do the whole song and dance all over again. It's way nicer when you don't have to do this by hand, but here we go. Then we on message. Then we have to remove the token from our first request. Delete auth request.data.token. We send our auth request. I go into Unity. I approve the auth request. There we go. Copy this. And then we do auth request data.token. Like that. We send this once again. Go for dinner. Enjoy. Manja manja. Have a lot of good food. Good luck with your deadline. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. We send this. Authentication response. We are authenticated. Awesome. And so now I can do my input request, and it'll work. And crucially, most importantly of all, when I shut off the plugin and boot it back up, turn on the API, uh-oh. What happened here? Ooh, that's exciting. I got problems. JSON parse invalid value on my API manager. Huh? Oh, I have once again, I see. I am trying to write this as a toString, because in my other classes, I do this right here, where I have public override toString, and I return JSON utility dot toJSON this. My bad. So I was, I think, writing, if I go to where the files get saved, in plugins here. Yeah, okay. Trying to deserialize this into a JSON ain't gonna fly. Whoops. Oh well. Let's try that one more time. And hopefully it won't explode on launch. Just kidding. Oh wait, I need to clear that file out, I think. But this does remind me that I should add try catches around all of my load functions. Let's delete this. Let's delete this file. Oh boy. Okay, no errors on launch. It doesn't look like it forgot my settings, so that's really good. Launch the API. Go to my browser. Clear all this shit out a third time. Clear console. We do WebSocket. We do our onMessage. I delete the token off of our auth request. We send our auth request. I approve it in Unity. I say yes. Go back to our browser. We have our token now. We can append that to our auth request. .data, .token. The real fun part's going to be writing all this down and explaining to people how you're supposed to do this. I think it's relatively straightforward, but I just haven't documented it yet. And obviously I will need to do so before this goes live. So now we can send our auth request again. Authentication says you're free and clear. We can send our input request. I get flushed. And if we look at VS Code here, we can see that it is actually saving information in a way that makes sense. This is proper JSON. So now, I'm pretty sure, I'm reasonably sure, if I stop the plugin, start the plugin, start the API server, go back to my browser, clear it all again, but now I'll have to do one less step. Crucially, I'll have to do one less step. I can now, once again, delete the token. There we go, delete that. We can do send our auth request. No, why? What's the problem? Why is it asking me to approve again? Why? What went wrong? I'll approve it, but why? I shouldn't need to. Oi, oi, oi. This is a pain in the ass. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Why? Our token session map, we add this. The file exists. It is saving the token, though. I've got the thing right here. There's our token. There's our session ID. And so it should just be saving the last token we sent. I think. Wait, actually, I just hit approve there, and it didn't send me anything back at all. I'm very confused now. Hold on. Hold on, it's time to look at our logic tree. What do we have going on here? What happened? What happened? Where is this even defined? Okay. So if somebody sends us authentication request, which is what we had, and it contains... Wait. I'm tired. This is me very clearly... This is me, like, frying my brain. Okay, so I was just like, yes. When you request a token, it will save it and everything will be good. So what do? I start the WebSocket. I don't make the part where it prints out the message you get back. And then I delete the token off of the auth request before I send it. The whole point of what I was testing was that you could keep the token between sessions. Let me try this again. We're going to add our on message. We're going to send our auth request. I'm going to approve it. I'm going to get the token this time. We're going to add this to our auth request object. Data.token. We're going to send this auth request. We're going to get a response. It's going to say you're authenticated is true. We're very happy about that. We're going to shut off the plugin. We're going to start up the plugin again. I'm not going to clear the token off of the object this time. I will, however, clear the console. Make a WebSocket again. Add the on-message response. And send the auth request. And it's going to say, you're authenticated. Yes. Yes. This works. Okay. Finally, there we go. This is all I was trying to do. Oh, what a pain. So now, yes, if you have a token, and you save it, and you remember it between sessions, you can use it again. It does not ask you to reapprove or anything in Unity. So now you can go ahead and send your input request. And you can send data with your stored token. It works. Cool. That's really all I needed to do. Let's commit and save while we can. And then I've got a lot of, I think, cleaning up to do, probably. Yeah, there we go. In Unity here, we can see I've got one connected client. I've sent, or received 3 messages to the input API. And then, like, I can connect to... I'm not even going to... I've demonstrated this a bunch of other times. Connect to the other 2, no problem. You don't need authentication for that. Last thing I think I'm going to do here is I need to make a list of clients and then give the user the ability to disconnect from them or remove approval for them. Let's do that. And then my brain is going to be so fizzled out because of all the yard work I did today. And I want to get a good night's sleep so I can be at my A game when I collab with Lua tomorrow for a very exciting event right in the morning. Lua, if you're still here, by the way, how early ahead of time do you want to get set up and squared away? because that is entirely on you. You're gonna be dead, yeah? I mean, well, look who you're talking to. But how early is acceptable for you? Because we obviously want to set up a little bit ahead of time. But you are absolutely the deciding factor here, since you are the early end of the spectrum. So if you have any preferable time, let me know. You can let me know later, it's fine. Just before we go to sleep, it would be good to know. Sorry to put you on the spot. I just recognize that you're here, so I might as well ask. 45 minutes before the start at earliest. Okay, sounds great. Perfect. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot to set up, so we should be fine. And yeah, that should be plenty. 4:15 a.m. Pacific Coast time. That's a big smile right there. That's a awful sentence to read. Dolly. Bear in mind though that you agreeing to do this collab at that hour does officially like bestow upon you, bequeath to you one Skeletom life debt. I owe you very big that you can cash in on at any point in the future. No questions asked. Use it responsibly. And then afterwards we gotta get some sleep so we can watch Forbidden Door later that day. Can't miss pro wrestling. What was I trying to do? I was trying to make UI shenanigans. API port settings. Let's open this up. So we've got these. We're gonna make a something like this, I think. Another one of these, but instead of being so lopsided, we're gonna add a. Actually, I probably don't need to. This is gonna be 150. This is gonna be 150. Oh wait, that's not what I want. Horizontal layout group. There we go. That's what I want. I think. Why is the button off to the side? I just want the button to be anchored to the left. Why? Why is it like this? Is there like some weird padding setting I didn't do? Oh, spacing of 10? Hold on. Elements. I have like examples of this type of button that I'm trying to do. Containers, maybe? Oh no, these are different kind of containers. I just want this to be a 50-50 split on this panel. I don't get why this button is... Unity's UI stuff is wild. Yeah, I'm told the new stuff is good and better, but I really can't be bothered to learn how to set UI up in Unity a third time. I like the building blocks approach. It's fine. It's good enough for me. Can I make this bigger? Oop. I can. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, so this is exactly what I was trying to do. How is this set up? Width of 330, 330. We have a horizontal group of spacing 10, and each one of these is set to be 160. Okay. Revoke. And this is going to be plugin revocation. I am Stinky Garbo, Unity UI. Me and Mutant UI are mortal enemies. I don't like it. I'm just used to it. Is really what I'm getting at here. I don't think it's good, but I know how to use it, and I don't want to have to learn how to use it again. Well, oh, wait, wrong. This text. Min is 10, max is 14. There we go. And I guess we probably want this to be bold. Every time I try to use it, I break it irreparably. I think it's just bad, is the thing. I think it's just bad, is really what it boils down to. So you shouldn't think poorly of yourself for not being used to it. I like to think about it as like Lego blocks, Lego bricks kind of thing, because that's how my brain operates. Everything just fits together mechanically, because my classical training is in mechanical engineering and not computer science in any way. So I like to think of things as pieces that snap together in a modular way. That's how I often think about code as well, in like a physical sense. But I would certainly prefer if it was like WebDev and CSS. That would certainly let you iterate faster, for sure, no questions asked. So now I need to make a script here. Element. This is going to be... plug. Plug in auth entry. There we go. Open up VS Code. We're going to be using TM Pro. Private TMP text. Title. Null. Cool. And then serialized field. Private. Button. Wait, not TMP text. That's a button. Using UI. Input tools. There we go. Extended button. Null. Public. Void configure. And this is going to need a plugin name or a string. String plugin author. I think that's all you need. This dot title dot text plugin name. I will add text for the author at a later point in time. My vendetta is against vertical and horizontal layout groups specifically. That's funny, Lua, because that's literally the only component I use in this entire application. I think I have a scroll region, and then everything else is just layout groups to make everything square and offset and split by exactly 10 units over and over and over again. Really? This exact class is called plugin auth entry in VTS as well? God, that's funny. We're cut from the same cloth, all of us. I really feel this way. The more I talk to people in this space, I really feel like you and I and Lua and a bunch of other people, Ty, are all cut from the same cloth. We think the same way. We have the same weird quirks. We have the same aspiration to make mad scientist software. It's good. But there's more stuff in there, I'm sure. Yeah, this is just like a UI function. This doesn't actually contain any authentication data. Anyway, this stuff. Button. On. Pointer up. Add listener. API manager.instance. .revoke. We're going to have to add a function for this because I didn't make one yet. public void revoke token data string. Oh, actually, we should probably pass the token in to the UI thing so it can pass it back out. We're all anime. Some of us more than others, and we're all different genres of anime, but we're all anime. Actually, this doesn't need to be serialized. Private string token. I save the icons of base 64 in there too? Yeah, might as well. I don't have an icon system for this. That's above my pay grade, for sure. I don't care enough about visual information. Not at all. Revoke token data. Token. Then she's taking notes every time I say awful, terrible, heretical engineering shit. Like, I don't care about visual data. And then to just immediately throw her under the bus for no reason, the extreme side of that spectrum is Lua, who releases plugins in like command line format because she's a true power user. She was talking about like her, I think, karaoke, like idol concert stage plugin, which was command line. Perhaps I'm pushing it too far. I should watch my tone. Rogue token data, string token. I live for the chaos. You're so true. So true. It's good that somebody does. It's good that somebody does. I have said this many a time, but I think I admire that most. That is one of your most admirable traits, or the trait that I personally admire the most about Lua Lucky, is she is completely unafraid to throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Like this past week, you did your MRI stream. Because why not? Why shouldn't you do an MRI stream? You're a VTuber after all. I love helping VTubers figure out that the JSON they just edited is saved with the wrong name every month for over a year. But hey, at least you've got users. That's incredible that you've made something that is so well loved and like has such a niche that people are willing to do that just to use it. I would assume if I made something like that, people would just bounce as soon as it was not even... As soon as there was 1 ounce of friction. I don't even remember what the unit of friction is in physics, but as soon as there was one unit of friction, people would bounce. But clearly you made something people really like, and you should feel good about that, I think. Did you ever figure out if there's a reliable way to figure out from where a WebSocket client is connecting, as in local versus from a website? No. I didn't even try. When I asked you about session ID, it was literally just figuring out what client was sending you things like token, because I couldn't figure out how to correlate. They sent me a token in the past, and they're good now in the C# implementation. What was I doing here? If this token contains key token remove it. There we go. I get brainworms that wriggle around in my brain and don't let me rest until my ideas come to fruition. I think that's very cool. For your birthday, I think I said that you have a lot of gumption, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. String, plugin auth entry. Like so. And then we need a serialized field. Actually, Oh man. Now I'm getting the brainworms here where it's like, I don't want to glue my UI to my manager here, actually. Panic. I'm just now realizing I misunderstood the word gumption. What did you think it means? Oh no. 6 months of confusion. Lua thought I, like, spit on her face, when I told her that. She thought it was, like, the meanest thing I could have ever said. What do you think gumption means? That is not a real word. It is. It absolutely is a real word. Ah, whatever. No, that's not. I'm joking. That was a joke. I know you didn't think that. I assume we wouldn't be friends if you thought I had said something so terrible. Bravado. You also have that. That's also correct, so I can see why you'd think that. But no, I just meant, like, the waking up one day in a strange mood and being like, I need to show the world the inside of my skull. I have to do this. It's going to be on Tuesday. I'm going to show the world the inside of my head. And then you do that. And you work incessantly to make sure that that happens. And then you do that. And then you go to sleep. And then 2 days later, you're like, I need to talk about Drag Race at 11 p.m. And then you do that. And you find a way to make it happen. Rinse and repeat. Things like that is what I'm talking about. I think that's very, very good. I think a lot of folks, myself most of all, kind of settle into a niche where we're like, okay, I'm the programming type VTuber. I'm the, I don't know, I'm the FPS VTuber. I'm always streaming the latest MOBA. Things like that. And you certainly don't allow yourself to be put in any kind of bucket, which is very good. That's just my opinion. What was I doing? Okay, so yeah, here's where now my brain stops letting me make progress because my brain is telling me that good is the enemy of or perfect is the enemy of good. So I have a where is it? Show me Unity. In my networks WebSocket thing here, I've got a API server settings, which is the UI aspect of this. Consistency is good. Niches are good. They build audiences. Consistency. I mean, you say that, but like you've got a dedicated fan base. I recognize a lot of the names in chat very frequently whenever I'm in a Lou Lucky stream, regardless of if I'm on YouTube or Twitch. So people are following you around too. The programming type Italian pizza skeleton. I mean, like, yeah, you can add modifiers to it, but you've literally added every modifier that you can add. So I don't know. I want to branch out, but I just don't have the time. I can literally only stream on weekends. So it's got to be stuff I feel comfortable with. Thank you, Denchi. Okay. So here's where perfect becomes the enemy of good. Because I want to have my UI component here display. What do I want to have? What do I want to have to do? This is I don't know how to do this in a nice, clean way. The UI thing should be the only thing responsible for showing those widgets we just made. The private plugin auth entry thing here. Auth prefab equals null, and then it's gonna have a list like so. Like one of these. It's gonna do like that. But now I don't have a good way to go from the manager. What the hell is it complaining about? Oh, are you serious? I don't have using system.collection.generic. I don't have a good way to inform this when it should add or remove entries from the list. I mean, it would be easy enough to have... Oh, actually, I do have a good way to do this. Never mind. Hold on. This is maybe dumb, but we do destroy this dot game object. Oh, but no, then it doesn't remove itself from the list. Actually, no, it's fine. We got this, we got this, we got this. Hold on. I am going to need to make use of an update loop, which I don't like doing, but we're already doing that here anyway. So it's fine. So it's fine. And then here I just need to make a public list string approved tokens. And we're going to say this is going to do get return keys. There we go. Keys is a property, I think. What is this returning? Can this be an IEnumerable? Yes. Alright, so, in my update loop here, what do I want to do? I want to say, I'm going to iterate over my map here. I'm going to say for each of these, if one of them is null, you wipe the entry. I think. We're gonna do for each string token approved tokens if dictionary or what am I? If dictionary if this dot token session map this is this dot contains key we're gonna do instantiate login auth entry. Wait, me actively forgetting how to write C# midline, that's awesome. Plugin auth entry. Entry equals like that. Oh, and I also need a reference to where we parent these. Private rect transform. List. Wait. Actually, no. This needs to be not a list of approved tokens. This needs to be a list of approved plugins. And it needs to return values, because I need all that information. Values. It's going to return plugin data. Like this. Like that. What's happening? Oh, hi, ISB. How was Metal Gear? Did you kill Big Boss for the second time? I was actually watching and listening to your stream in the background of my own, because I've got OBS set up such that I don't have that audio pipe through. You melted the bigger boss. That's great. How anticlimactic is the Metal Gear fight in that game? The answer is very. But yeah, I was keeping an ear to the ground. I liked the part where you were reading Big Boss's monologue about how you search for ever bigger thrills and how the nightmares don't ever stop. Very good game. I like that game a lot. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm sad that I missed the part where the venomous hamsters came charging at you, because that's my favorite moment in the entire game. But you fought a whole Metal Gear more than Metal Gear 1 and Snake's Revenge combined. It's true. Why is that letting me do that? Oh, it's not. API manager, plugin, data. I do like how they really bring that speech back to its starting point, MGS3. Yeah, yeah. It's a Metal Gear 2 is a good game. That's the thing, is people skip it because it's on the MSX and it's not very accessible. But it's a good game. Like, thematically, like, it's absolutely at home with the other Metal Gear Solid games. But Metal Gear 2, I forgot to give you a shout out also. People need to know that you're playing retro. Let's see if, Big Dong... I'm not going to read your name, actually. I suspect that you are not a genuine user. Oh, wait, hold on. I spelled ISV's name wrong. There we go. Dom is a genuine user? Uh-oh. With a name like that, you gotta forgive me. I assumed your name was, trying to get me to say something that may or may not be TOS out loud. I've seen that happen before. Alright, well, Dom. I'll call you Dom. I'm currently in a programming bootcamp myself. I'm sorry for being so hostile immediately out of the gate. Please forgive me. Yeah, welcome. I'm doing some C-sharp programming. C-sharp by the seashore, that kind of thing. I am working on a VTube Studio plugin that lets you connect heart rate monitors to VTube Studio, so you can use your heart rate, your active pulse, as a tracking parameter for your funny little VTuber model. If you're, doing a workout stream, it'll give you tracking parameters to accelerate your automated breathing, so that it looks like you're like out of breath. It's got hookups that will make you appear more flushed, etc., etc. Hey streamer, can you shout out my... No, I can't. Nice try. Nice try. Sorry, Denchi. I hate your friend, I guess. Entry dot transform dot set parent. I think that's what I want. Oh yeah, and then I gotta do entry dot configure. That's fair. I deserve it. Data plugin dot plugin name. I'm a fool. I should just be doing API manager dot plugin data like this. That's how I should be doing it. And I can just pass in plugin. We had 3 days to do it. We're going to be learning C# soon. We just got done with a big assignment in Vue and making an API in Node.js. That's so many different things. That does sound like a boot camp, but that sounds more like muscle confusion therapy for like your brain. Vue and make an API in Node, and now you're going to do C#. Those are like very different, disparate things. So I worry that they're just giving you random things to like latch your brain onto. I don't know how you could really get good at an individual one of those things if you're just swapping around like that, but I hope it works out. We had 3 days to do it, and we had to pass a big Postman test. If you know, yes, I use Postman daily for my job. Postman is a tool that lets you make get and post and other requests as though you were a web app to whatever URL. Lets you write in header information so you can do authentication and stuff like that. So we're going over every token in our list of approved tokens. If there's one in there that we don't have an item for, awesome. Cool. And then similarly, we then need to go for each plugin. Or actually, it's going to be for each string token in this plugin auth entries. What's happening? Oh, thank you for joining the Skeleton crew. I'm going to continue to call you Dom. So Dom, there's a saying in the underworld here, and that saying is, if it does not read rest in peace on your tombstone, you get drafted into the Skeleton War. So, I gotta say, I gotta thank you for voluntarily signing up to join the Skeleton Army here, because you're saving me from needing to draft some poor sucker. So, well, I gotta thank you for your voluntary conscription. Stick around. Every Saturday, at this time block, I do programming, C#, typically. On Sundays, most Sundays, or no, that's not true at all. Like bi-monthly, I do cooking, like IRL real cooking, in my IRL real kitchen with my IRL real bone hands. I will teach you how to make pizza from scratch, making the dough, uh, making toppings. I'm going to expand to making your own tomato sauce, and someday I will learn to make cheese from scratch as well. So that's Sundays, typically. And this Sunday in particular, tomorrow in 10 hours, 10 hours, I will be collabing. Certain Sundays, unknown conditions, basically. It's basically whenever I feel like setting up a cooking show in my house, which is not often. I'm Italian, I'm made of pizza. Tomorrow, I'm doing a collab on the same channel. We're going to be critiquing and reviewing the technical merits of other VTuber Kason on Air. She's doing a 3D debut in Unreal. So we're going to be talking about that. Denshi, you don't have to do it every time I do it. But I appreciate it. And yeah.
Well, you know I'm Italian.
Wait, the Lua Lucky? I'm going to keep using the collab thing until her links get burned into your brain. The Lua Lucky. I couldn't believe it either. But we really lucked out here. But yeah, stick around. Use your channel points to unlock the emotes for 24 hours. Have a good time, etc., etc. Wow. That's a good one. I like the wow. My brain hears the wow very often whenever I do anything. That's pretty much why I picked these sounds. Wowie Aizumasha, thank you for showing me this. Infamous, notorious VTuber, Lua V Lucky, Skelly Boy. Yeah. Okay, so if we iterate over a token in list of entries, if just plug in get. Oh wait, you just do token null if this then why is this keys, and we just do this dot remove. Okay. I gotta get more sound redeems though, I think. But those are the ones that jump out in my brain very often. The wow. I think about that all the time. And then there's I think I have children cheering, right? That should be enabled. Where is it? Is that this one? That's a good one. That's a good one. They're all good. I only have good sound redeems. Okay, so I just spent like 20 minutes setting up a loop. We iterate, this is in the UI side of things. We iterate over the approved plugins. If there's one that we don't already have a entry for in our UI, we make a new list item for it. We configure it for the plugin, and we put it on the list. Then we iterate over all the tokens in the list of UI elements, and if one of them no longer is present in the approved plugins list, basically, we remove it. Straightforward. What is this complaining about? Oh. Don't need to have this then. Yes, I do. There we go. And now, to put it all together. We jump back to Unity. We go to our API thing over here. I will hide this. Our API port settings. Our auth list, I think, is just the thing itself. And then the auth prefab is this. Just kidding, I have to actually add the script to this. plugin auth entry. There's that. There's that. I gotta remove the tooltip from this tooltip button. It's not a tooltip. Component. Yeah, that seems correct. Turn off the localized aspect of the title here. A lot of special configuration. That's fine. Plugin auth. There we go. Let's boot this up and we should see that there is one entry on the list. Please. No. Why? 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 What part of this did I forget? Why did it do this? Well, let's consult where things are. Plugins has a plugin, for sure, for sure, for sure. Our API server settings are definitely running updates. Let me run that one more time and just be very sure that it's actually not creating anything. So we go to our game here. Go back to the scene. Is there like something hiding? No, it's... Oh! I know why. I think. Because the prefab is disabled. So what I can do is entry.gameObject set active true. I was telling it to reference a disabled object, so it was creating a new one that is also disabled. I'm pretty sure is what's happening. I want to believe that is what was happening because I don't want to debug this any further. No, I was wrong. I need a that's when you hit me with the boo. Where's the boo? That's not the boo. Whatever. Why is it not doing this? Why? Why? Thank you, Daniel. I deserve it. I deserve it very much. Oh, back to back. Oh. Harsh. I'm not sure what the best way to debug this would be. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay, so I'm confused here. We have our update function here, which I know is updating because it sets the statistics for the API ports and everything like that. So we should be iterating over our list of approved plugins. And we're saying if this plugin does not contain the token, we're making a new thing. And there's no reason it would contain anything from the start. So the only thing that can mean is that the list of approved plugins is blank. But that doesn't make any sense, because list of approved plugins is the token session map values. And we make those every time we load. Yeah. So what's happening? Where is the issue here? Let's find out. I should really spend some time and configure a debugger to Unity one of these days. This is bad code, but that's fine. Oops. That counts. Can you debug from Visual Studio? Yeah, I think so. Typically, I've not been a good like I'm an amateur here, as you can see. Yeah, there's definitely a debugger. I don't know how well it plays with Unity though. Is the problem? Okay. Why does it say there are 3? How could there possibly be 3 approved plugins? It plays very well. Well then, I should actually set that up. Because I historically am very dependent on the aptly named debug log, despite me using very advanced debugger tools professionally. Not for Unity. Wow. I'll have to look into how to do that for code then. So actually, I'm even more confused now, because it says there are 3 approved plugins, and I don't see any way that that's possible. There should only be 1. I'm very, very, very confused. I know it has a good profiler, but that's from the editor. I don't know how to, like, set breakpoints and have them actually be respected. Because I'm a Neanderthal. I should actually finally get these set up now that I'm building something of any complexity here in Unity. I'm stumped here, actually. Without having a debugger to view these values. I don't understand why it would be behaving like this. Thanks for having my back, Denchi. I appreciate it. Yeah, here, though, I need to see what's inside these maps, I think. Because I've got my token session map. And I add stuff to it when I load up my data. Load token data. If the file exists, read it, convert it from JSON, and then populate your field. Cool. That's good. Then in my receive function, we remove. When we get a token, we remove it. We add a new piece of data. Cool. And here we would add it. Add a new token. Oh, I should save in here as well. But, that's neither here nor there. I don't know what the issue is. I wish you could serialize dictionaries in this godforsaken program so that I could see what was going on from the inspector, and the inspector could live up to its name and let me inspect things. But we're just not there yet. How can I better debug this? Alright, on load here. We're gonna say debug.log this dot approved plugins dot. Maybe I should cast this to a list. Maybe. Oh wait, that's not new list. New lies, new list. That creates garbage, but it doesn't really matter. Even if I am doing it every frame. Count. Let's for each. Alright, what does it think it's doing? What does it think it's doing? Why does it think that there are 3 items in that list? Where? Wait, are there actually? Hold on, actually, wait, hold on. Am I just illiterate? I think I'm actually leaning towards me being illiterate here. Because these are not pretty printed. But they should be. Oh my god, there actually are 3 tokens. Oh my god. Why? Why did this happen? And they're all different. But they all have the same plugin name and plugin author. Denshi, I'm going to ask you again. How do you handle this? In theory, if somebody else made a plugin that said it was VTS heart rate from Skeletom, best kind of bug is a non-existent one. You're so right. If this were pretty printed, I would have caught this sooner. How do you handle this? If there are 3 plugins that all say that they're the same plugin from the same author, what would you do? How do you understand that it's a different plugin and not just the same plugin asking for a new token? Because that could also be, I feel like, a form of malicious attack that I don't know how you could protect against. But like, what if I made a piece of malware that said it's Mix It Up bot, and it's from the people who make Mix It Up bot in my request, right? And the user sees that and they're like, oh yeah, of course, and they approve it, and then it overwrites or gets that. I don't know. I don't know how you'd adequately explain to the user that these are actually 3 separate things. I guess they just have to delete them all and then reapprove the one that they care about. Okay, so there are actually 3 things in that list. I'm not any closer to understanding why this isn't working, though. I am seeing holes in the code here where I'm like not doing this, for example. Oh, I can't do what I'm trying to do here either, because that would be. Oh no, I can. I'm not iterating over the list. I'm not modifying the list as I iterate over it. Entry. And the parent is this dot auth list. Now I can get rid of that, I think. Let's try again. Maybe it's just my brain not picking up what I'm putting down. No, okay, it's just not. Collection was modified. Okay, wait. Did I actually do an illegal operation? I didn't think I did. I was just remarking about how I'm not modifying the list that I am iterating over? Because I thought I was iterating over approved plugins. Yeah. And we're saying if it doesn't contain the key, yeah, we add it. That's fine. Exit the for loop. Then we iterate over it here. We remove stuff if they're empty. And they'd be empty because the entry destroys itself when you tell it to revoke access. Though I'll probably make that into a pop-up of its own, saying, "Are you sure you want to revoke access?" So how am I modifying the list? Show me. Prove it to me. Oh. Duh. Yes, you can't do this. I need to cast this into a list string tokens equals new list string. Hate doing this every frame. I will clean it up later. On God. Tokens. Yes, you have to make a temporary copy of the thing that you're iterating over so that you can remove stuff from said list. Yes. Okay. Still doesn't explain why it's not instantiating my objects, though. Famous last words, but I'll clean it up later. I do, though, is the thing. I'm actually the kind of insane person who actually cleans it up afterwards. I agonize over having really readable code. Why aren't you instantiating objects, you fucking piece of shit? As I struggle for my angry face. There we go. Why? Literally why? I'm just trying to make a bunch of these in a row. Okay, let's go back to here. Instead of pointing to a prefab that's already on the object, I doubt it would make a difference at all in the slightest. But let's do this. I really want to wrap the stream. I want to go to sleep. I want to be well rested for tomorrow morning. I don't want to keep struggling with this. Auth prefab, like such. Oh, I'm not even showing Unity right now. Awesome. Let's see. Capture groups. Web dev Unity. Alright, nope, that didn't change anything. Why? It has to be obvious at this point. But I don't see what it is. We iterate over the 3 plugins that are approved in our approved plugins list. If this plugin auth entries is a initially empty dictionary, if does not contain key, token, make a new entry, instantiate it, reconfigure it, set it to active. I don't know. This is where a debugger would be very helpful. I need to see if this is like stepping over or stepping what it's doing. Okay, it's... Ooh. It just keeps going and saying instantiating. But it never instantiates. Why? Why? Plugin auth entries does not contain key. I like don't understand. This should not be a possible case. I'm considering not sleeping. Lua, what the fuck are you talking about? Lua, you have so much time. You have so much time. You have uh, 10 hours from now, right? Go the fuck to bed. There's no reason. There's no reason to do it. What the fuck are you talking about considering not sleeping? I guess if you do that, and then you go to sleep immediately as soon as we go off air, like literally hit that stop recording, stop streaming button, and your face hits your desk, and you're just out of here, you might be able to wake up in time for Forbidden Door, which I think starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 hours after we start streaming. I go to sleep at 3 a.m. these days. Why? Why? I'm sorry, that's so rough. That's so bad. That's so rough. What's happening now? Oh no, he's renewed his subscription. It's Aki Baki. Hello. Hi Aki, how's it going? You've paid money for this yet again. Thank you. Enjoy your complimentary emote. And thank you for stopping by. 3 a.m. sees well, Denchi, it's currently, what? It's, 4 a.m. where you are, is that right? So, you're one to talk. Angie. Yeah, I'm mashing my head against code that I don't understand why it's behaving the way it's behaving. We iterate over our list of approved plugins. If we don't have an entry for that plugin, we instantiate, make a thing, configure the thing, add it to the list, plugin auth entries, so next time we will have the key.
Wow.
Why? 4 8, yeah, I know. I can do math. You're 6 hours ahead. I understand. I don't understand. This to me seems like this should be cut and dry. It should not be possible that it just keeps spitting this out. I guess I'm gonna print out what token it is. I'm gonna find out that the token is null or something insane like that. This seems like this should be very cut and dry. Okay, no, these are tokens. These are valid tokens. All three of them are the ones I'd expect. But it's just not doing... Oh lord, they're coming out of the woodwork. Hi, how's it going? How's it going? You've caught me at my angriest. I did a bunch of yard work today, very tired. And then I come and decide to do pro bono engineering at 8 p.m. But it's okay. Because tomorrow is going to be a bright, exciting day of collaboration early in the morning. Because you all know what time it's going to be. It's going to be this. I got to fix... There's a typo in this command. I'll fix it after the stream. But that's up tomorrow. Yeah, there's a lot... I'm feeling a lot of emotions right now. There's a lot going on. Pro bono, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, the overall project here that I'm working on, though, is... I've mentioned it a couple times. I have a plugin for VTube Studio. It connects heart rate monitors to VTube Studio itself, so you can use your pulse as a tracking parameter for your model. If you are doing like Ring Fit, ASMR, Dance Dance Revolution, horror games, and you have a heart rate monitor, you can hook it up like so. It'll be able to make your model, or rather it can, make your model get flushed, make you breathe faster, etc., trigger expressions, emotions, and the like. And right now I'm trying to build an API layer on top of this, so people can take heart rate data out of this plugin, which aggregates it all, and build their own stuff. Denchi, the problem right now is that I have instructed my code, we're looking at it right now in fact, so our plugin manager is the manager class. It keeps a list of all the plugins that we've built, or API manager, it keeps track of all the plugins that we've built and approved. And we iterate over all of them in the front end, the UI component, and we say, okay, in the list of list entries that you have here, if it doesn't contain, if we find a plugin in the approved plugin list that is not represented here, we should instantiate the plugin, or the list entry, We do that here. We configure it to have a delete button and list the name. And we add it to the list of auth entries with the token as the key and the entry as the value. And the problem is, when we hit play, it doesn't seem like it's ever actually doing this. And we just see this looping forever and forever and forever. Sounds pog, yeah. And I don't understand how that's possible, because I would think if not contains key is a section of logic, and the end of that is add the key, this should only ever happen once. Does it properly add to the parent? I'm going to remove this and see if this is somehow causing it to block. Add. No? Actually, hold on. I'm gonna remove this for the time being. I wonder if it takes a frame for the object to be instantiated. And so in my cleanup function here, where I'm saying, okay, if you have any entries that are null, remove them. If it's like same... I wonder if it's cleaning it up prematurely. Hold on. Let's find out. Did I actually save my code here? I did. It's gonna work now. Watch this shit. No. Okay. Oh, wait. But it only instantiated once. Wait. It might have worked. It might have half worked. Because I only see the instantiate get called once. Yeah, which is good. But where's the thing? Where are they? Where the fuck are they, though? What's the error is that it can't initialize my ant plus function because I don't have my dongle plugged in. My dongle's missing. It's just not here, so it can't run the driver. I should probably wrap this in a non-error throwing thing, but it's valid. My ant plus manager is saying it can't find stuff. Yeah. Okay, so it thinks it's instantiating each of these once. But where? Where is it? Prove it. Literally prove it. Where is it? Where are they? Where are the things that it instantiated? What is it doing? I'm going crazy. So the problem was, partially, that I guess it takes a frame for these to exist. And then... sorry. My across-the-way neighbors, I guess, just started a bonfire. And I had to make sure that their house wasn't actually on fire. It's very orange outside. Caught my eye. You set the right parent? I think so. Yeah, so we've got this, which is a transform. Auth list, direct transform, but that should be fine. I can make it a normal transform. Maybe that'll help. I don't think that makes a difference, but we'll see. Unity. Yeah, that doesn't seem to have made a difference, unfortunately. Where's auth-list? It is a serialized field, right here. Auth-list is the object itself, which has a vertical layout group. So, like, for example, I should just be able to do this. And it should look like this. It's just like it's not making the thing. And I don't understand why. They're just like gone. It's not even like they're not parented. They're just not here. Like if I search for plugin auth panel, it's just the 3 that I made. They're just not being instantiated. I feel like I'm actually going crazy. Like the function is just not working as described. Turning on identity, off list. Where, not format. Control Shift F. Right, like that's all there is to it. You make your instance. You parent it. Like I'm looking at where else I've used instantiate before, right? And then we have our like parents, which are they were rect transforms here, and that was fine. I don't know. Programming does that, drives us crazy. Some might say you have to be crazy to program in the first place, though. Check auth prefab. Sure, what am I checking for, though? Like, you're not wrong. There's only so many moving pieces here. So we check out what auth prefab is. It's this, which is what it should be. Where do you set it? It's also a serialized field. So I set it in the inspector. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing Unity right now. Yeah. So it references this prefab, and we set it via the inspector. I'm not getting a null pointer, so if it was just unset, like it would tell me right away, I'd get a null pointer exception. It's just not doing the thing. I'm gonna remove the phantom one at the bottom of here for no particular reason. In the end, are you sure? Can you remove the null? I'm not sure what you mean, remove the null. I'm unclear what this means. Oh, yeah, there's a... I see what you mean. You're talking about... I've got a WebSocket URL. That's a none right here. Prophet Pigeon asks, first time chat from Prophet Pigeon. If we remove the null, do we even exist? That's what I'm asking Denshi. Do we even exist? Oh, you set null as default. Yeah, I do that because otherwise the inspector complains. But I will try anything at this point. Like that, you're saying? No, I don't need this anymore. No references. If you only assign something through serialized field, you'll get a compiler complaining about it in the messages, or in the logs, which is why I don't do that anymore. Let's see. I'm gonna be mad if what you suggested works. Okay, yeah, no change in behavior. None whatsoever. We have this, and it is not. It says it's instantiating, but it's not. It simply isn't doing that. I don't fucking understand. Also, hello, Prophet Pigeon. Thank you for stopping by. You've caught me at my angriest. I usually get... I'm usually pretty calm and collected with these things. But I am now facing a bug that I truly don't understand. It seems baffling to me. Call me at the take a break moment. Yeah, I've been streaming for what, 2.5 hours now? I wanted to call it at like 2 hours, but I want to end on a high note and have my thing work. I wanna commit working code, as they say. Push working code. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I figured it out. Sorry for the really loud. I am I'm so tired. So in the configure method, where I make these things, I set the title, I set the token, I say add listener, and the listener says remove the token. Yeah, it sounds very familiar, right? The listener says remove the token, and what I meant to do was this. But what I actually did was say as soon as you finish configuring it, destroy yourself. No, I meant to say destroy. What I should have done is this. Destroy. Well, I mean, the destroy was important. I just had it in the wrong place. It was supposed to be in the listener, so when you remove it, it destroys. Oh my god. Cool. A debugger probably would have helped here. Let's get rid of this. We love a bracket error, yeah. And now, it'll work. Rowan, thank you for renewing your sub. Oh, wait, whoa, hold on. Wait. Oh my god. Profit Pigeon. I feel like I have to, like... I feel like I have to follow your religion now. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys all have access to...
Wow.
The Give Pizza and Woke emotes. My two states of being are giving pizza and my eyes glowing red. But yeah, stick around every Saturday at 2 hours earlier than right now. I do programming for C# typically. Sometimes it's JavaScript, sometimes it's web dev. Hasn't been any of those recently. It's usually just C# like this. And then Sundays, sometimes I do real cooking. I will teach you guys how to make food such as pizza from scratch. Dough and all takes about 2.5 hours. My typical Just Chatting streams are on Sundays. But yeah, you'll catch me weekends. Tomorrow, as I keep saying bright and early, I will be collabing with Lua V Lucky. We're going to be doing a technical analysis of another VTuber who is having her big 3D model extravaganza. Do you debug your food? Sometimes. Hopefully there aren't bugs in the food in the first place. Nobody's suggested me putting, like, crickets on the pizza, but you never know. I need to catch one of those pizza streams. I mean, they're not regular. It's whenever I feel... It's whatever Sunday I feel like cooking, which is not very often lately. Certainly not going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be watching Forbidden Door at that time. But yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the tremendous number of gift subs. It's very kind of you. And now we get to listen to the death knell of this church bell for a couple more times. Denshi, it's funny that you bring up the pizza and Mountain Dew thing. Yeah, there we go. It works. Because I was considering this week, since Monday... it's been a long fucking week. Monday of this week... No, Monday of last week, okay. Monday of last week was Hot Dr. Pepper Day, right? The 10th anniversary of the Hot Dr. Pepper video. Where the guy explains how to make Hot Dr. Pepper. You know, you heat it up in a pan or anything. You pour it into a glass made of glass, etc., etc. So I was thinking that Sunday I could have made a pizza where instead of tomato sauce, I could teach you how to make Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce, which is like Worcestershire, a little bit of sugar, Dr. Pepper, obviously, and a couple other things, which is like a real thing that people have done. You could use Dr. Pepper to make barbecue sauce, and you could slather your dough in that, and I think that might have been pretty palatable, but I forget what I was doing last Sunday that prevented me from doing that. And then this Sunday is a bunch of other things, so I can't do it this Sunday either. Good lord. Yeah. I mean, if you catch my archive, which is in the description of my channel here on my YouTube, I've got my Pizzasudan playlist, which is every time I do a cooking stream, I'll add to that playlist. I think I've done 7 or 8 right now. 3 of them have been mildly cursed. 1 of them has been extremely cursed, where I put the Peep marshmallow for Easter on a pizza. Yeah, Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce is common. I do not feel weird saying that. Putting it on a pizza dough is a little less common, but, you know, we make do. Okay, if I hit revoke on one of these randomly. Okay, cool. It deletes itself. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This works. I'm gonna call it here, I think. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a officially licensed spin-off product of Dr. Pepper. You lose points for the pizza part, but it's the only medium I know, Louis. Everything is in context of being on or not being on a pizza. It's the only medium I know. Everything has to be do this but on a pizza. Did it work? If you mean the peeps on a pizza, not really. I could have stretched the dough thinner and made it a little bit better. It basically just tasted like s'mores. It wasn't really like good or bad. Code must be on a pizza. Someday, we'll get there. I will invent a digital pizza. Okay, so this seems to work. I will stop the plugin, load it up again, and there will only be 2 options. Please. No, there are 3, and there are 3 because I forgot to do one very important thing in my code. My web dev VS Code, here we go. I forgot in the revoke section of my thing here. Not that. I can get rid of that. I have a revoke token. I need to then do save token data. So once we delete it, we need to then generate new save data. This is important. If I don't do that, it's going to always think that they're the 3 that we started with. So we have this. We can revoke 2 of them. We stop and hit start again, and there will only be 1. There can be only 1. Voila. 2.5 hours of crying and screaming, but we get our API to where it needs to be. So Lua, to you I say, the last step I have before I can hand this off to you is I need to document what the model responses for all of these look like and how you're supposed to authenticate yourself. And then it will basically be production ready, I think. So look forward to that. I hope I can get it to you in a timely fashion. Yes, we've done it. It's important. Like, people joke, but it is important. I'm gonna make myself cry now because I'm so exhausted from all of this. There's a lot of cleanup I need to do in this code, but it will not be done tonight. Might be done tomorrow night while I'm watching wrestling. I don't know. But for now, I will make myself normal again. Shut off the plugin. Sleep. I mean, I would say the same to you. If you plan on going to sleep, I really think you should, but I can't make you. Yeah, so that's gonna do it. I will be back in how long? It is 11 o'clock now, so I'll be back in 9 hours. Maybe a little bit before that, probably like closer to... Well, actually, yeah, it's 10:40 right now. So in 9 hours, I'll be back streaming again on this very channel. We will be doing less than 12 hours, yeah. Ooh. In 9 hours, I will be back on this channel with Lua. We're going to be watching the Kson 3D debut, having a great time talking about Unreal Engine and Xsense and mocap and who knows what else. And having a great time watching the strongest VTuber to ever do it hit another milestone in her long and storied career. So I will look forward to seeing some of you, maybe not all of you, hopefully some of you, again, very shortly, after one great sleep. Yeah, and until then, Bona Sarah, I'll be asleep, but have fun. Thank you. Yeah, so until then, Bona Sarah, good night. Let's go raid. Raid. If I'm awake, I'll check it out. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you for the stream. Okay, bye-bye. Yes, nice to see you. Eidolon and Endymion. I'm gonna have to remember how to say that. Eidolon and Endymion. Bye bye. Yeah, so bonus error, good night, etc., etc. We're gonna go raid Pia, who's playing Fortnite. I don't know what she's doing in Fortnite, but she's cool. Give her the pizza emote or the skeleton red eyes emote, etc., etc. She knows who I am, so hopefully she will respond in kind. Try fort, and then night. Yes, exactly. Etc., etc. Good night. Good luck. Bonus era. I'm gonna keep saying it. Get out of here.